Hey everyone, this is Coach TurtleKing, and today I'm going to be teaching about one of the more crucial concepts in Smash, zone control, otherwise known as recognizing the threat zone of different characters. I touched on this in the bait and video, but today I'll be going to more in depth on how you can visualize your character's threat zone and then enforce it so you become a terrifying presence on the stage. Let's get started. The first thing you should do is hop into training mode and pick the default training mode stage along with your main. Stand at the line marked 0 and then start using moves. See how far away from the 0 the moves are going. Your up tilt may reach 1 unit above you, your dash attack may move you 3 units forward. Keep all this stuff in mind. Your best combo starter might only have a unit of range. Experiment with your moves for about 5 minutes to get familiar with the range and speed of your character's attacks. By overlaying the hitboxes of all your attacks over each other, you start to form a big bubble of hitboxes around your character, sort of like this. You can do this in your head, but it may be useful to find or make the resource yourself so you can reference it later. This big bubble is what I like to call your character's threat bubble. A threat bubble is exactly what it sounds like. It's all the space you can immediately and unreactively exert pressure into. If you enter your opponent's threat bubble, you're in danger. If your opponent enters yours, you may be able to take a swing. Now what I want you to do is narrow down your exploration to a few crucial moves. What's your farthest reaching burst option? What's your least committal anti-air? How big is your fastest out of shield option? How far do you go when you dash back once? And what tilt can you use to cover the distance you just dashed out of? I'll talk more about what a burst option is in the bait and punish video again. But the gist is that it's a move that covers a lot of distance while being unreactable to anyone who's within its range. By thinking of these more important moves, you can start to narrow down your bubble into a few key zones, making it a little easier to think about. Once you have your character's threat range in mind, it's time to start enforcing it. Most characters will try to get into your threat bubble at some point or another in every match. Short-range characters will do it often because all their attacks will only reach you if they're up close. Mid-range characters may have to enter your bubble if they want to grab your shield or use one of their more rewarding combo starters, since they tend to have less range. Even long-range characters are usually forced to contest with your threat bubble if you've managed to corner them, and there's no place left for them to back up, which forces them to go through you to reset to neutral. Once an opponent has entered your threat zone, keep your defense rock solid by not letting them get away with it for free. Use your safest, highest range poke to keep a lot of pressure going on the ground, and to make it risky for your opponent to dash in. This is usually best done by down tilts, forward tilts, and especially forward airs. If your opponent is approaching from above or diagonally to try to whiff punish these grounded options, use your least committal anti-air. I find that up air works extremely well for most characters, but many up tilts, up smashes, or even up specials can do the job. A character like Wario will be trying to move in and out of your range to get you to overcommit, so they can drop in quickly when you've presented an opportunity. As long as you're using low commitment attacks to enforce your zone, you can make this play much riskier. The last way to think about your threat bubble is by using it to mount an offense. If your opponent is always just out of reach and doesn't want to commit to entering your threat bubble, try to slowly inch your bubble onto them. If they keep backing out of range, eventually they'll be in the corner and be forced to either go off stage and give you a ledge trap, or go through your threat zone in an attempt to hit you or get away from you. If you can enforce your zone like a wall of hitboxes, you'll be able to find damage by kicking your opponent back out as they try to move past you. Your opponent will eventually feel very threatened by your presence, which could even make them panic and do some riskier plays to get around you, which you can punish if you're ready for them. Now it's time to put your newfound knowledge to the test. Hop into 3 games against other players and try to successfully keep your opponent out of your range by hitting them as they try to enter. If someone is jumping in at you, use a fast up air to knock them right out of the air, and if they're dashing in, try to use a safe poke to make it less safe to do so. Sometimes this act of using hitboxes to interrupt attacks and movement is referred to as stuffing them out, or stuffing out the attacks and movement. Keep in mind some characters struggle to enforce areas of their zone, as they were designed with having those weaknesses. If you have anti-airs that only hit in very specific places, or out of shield options that don't hit very low, you'll need to find ways to get around approaches that target those weaknesses. Usually this involves changing your positioning so that an approach from the air turns into an approach from further away. So, final reminder to check out my bait and punish video. The bait and punish strategy and the enforcing your zone strategy complement each other's weaknesses very well. So now that you know how to enforce your zone, you'll be able to exert a stage presence that keeps your opponent sweating. Even though it's not always the best idea to swing first, doing so enough will make sure that your opponent has to respect your range. This was Coach TurtleKing, and I'll see you in the next video.